In this video, we're going to be talking about the DJI Mini Pro 3. Most specifically, we're going to be talking about the activetrack feature, which is going to be the entire video of this length. You're going to see is the drone auto-following me holding the controller. Now, there are some parts you'll see where there were some errors, where it didn't quite follow perfectly, but for the most part, I will say I am wholly impressed with this. It does a great job of following me and avoiding obstacles. The whole time it was beeping to warn me that there were obstacles around, but as you can see, we're flying through like a mini forest here. So not only were there blackberries to avoid, low-hanging tree branches, it had to auto-adjust its height to get around, and I can safely say it did not cut a single blackberry strand in half. Now, what I mean by this is that, like, the low-hanging ones you see kind of on the right side of the screen there, it didn't chop through those. It detected those and avoided them completely. It avoided the tree branches you see above us. It never once collided with anything. Now, it did get stuck a few times, which I will talk about, and we'll see where it got stuck and how it got stuck and kind of the AI it was using to try and unstick itself. But again, for the most part, I am wholly impressed with this. So let's talk a little bit about the cons first. There was a few things that are minorly at best annoyances. Again, there were no major flaws, but I'm going to talk about the good and the bad. So I'm going to start with the few things that were, I won't say frustrating because they're not even the frustrating thing because they're understandable, but they are, quote, cons if you want to put them in that category. The first one's going to be the noise. As I said, the controller was dinging the entire time because, as you can see, there are obstacles everywhere around it. Again, that's not a bad thing, that's a safety feature, right? It's supposed to be warning me that there are things around it, but if you're trying to go for like a nice peaceful walk, you are not going to get that while you're holding this controller. And to my knowledge, they cannot be disabled or turned down, but again, this is a safety feature, so it's completely understandable why that is there. Next is the drone noise itself. Again, this is not a con in the context of drones are going to make noise, right? In order to sustain flight, it needs to put out a lot of power, and these propeller blades need to move very fast. But again, if you're doing this to like go for nice relaxing walks or something like that, for whatever reason, I can't see why you would be doing, videotaping yourself taking a relaxed walk, but hey, it's the internet. We all do kind of strange things for views on the internet now, so you're not going to get that. It could very well disturb other people as well as yourself from having that nice, easy walk with the noise. Now, this one's not in the con category, but it is something I want to talk about. As you'll see throughout this entire video, I did not run it into anyone else. I made sure that I was on a cleared course, that there was no one else around for safety reasons. I don't know that I would trust this to work with other people around, nor should you be doing this with other people around, right? This is a exposed propeller that could easily cut someone or hurt someone. So again, that's not a con, that's just a safety thing. So let's talk about the pros. One, this video is, in my opinion, pretty stunning. I know you're just looking at my backside. I'm not saying that that's stunning. What I'm saying is that it is crystal clear, it is crisp, it is steady. This is impressive video all around, in my opinion. Now this is, you can see, this is the first obstacle where I made a turn faster than it made a turn, so it's still locked on me. It's still tracking. It knew where I was at, and it saw where it needed to go, and so you can see it was trying to figure out how it should get to me. You can see it kind of goes up and down. You see it went to the right a little bit here, thinking, okay, maybe I can get around this tree, but it didn't quite see me because there's a little bit there, and then it figured it out, and it said, okay. I believe at this point I took manual control in order to force it up and around. That's why I stopped walking, because you can see I manually adjusted. I had to move it up and down a little bit and get it relocked on. But this is preferable to the alternative, right? Because the alternative is either A, it runs into the tree, which we do not want, right? We want to avoid a crash at all possible measures. Or it could have gone up and around. You could see the logic of it trying to say, okay, I'm trying to get to this corner, so let me go around, but this object is blocking it. You would also see to the left, top left, where that obstacle was, there were more blackberries and branches there, so that way it was completely blocked. So this means rather than crashing itself or going through a risky area, it put the control back in my hand, had me reroute it to myself, and then turn it back on. And this is what I would want out of a drone. I don't want the drone to take risks. I don't want it to do something that I wouldn't feel comfortable with. In fact, I didn't fly through that mess myself because there was too much variables in there, too many blackberries, too many what if it gets caught. Now you will see that I maintained a fairly steady pace. I tried to walk at the same speed, give or take, as I went through here. To my knowledge, this will adjust speed to you. It tries to always stay at the same area, so even if I sped up a little bit, it would move faster to catch up to me. If I slowed down, it would move a lot slower. That again is a great feature, a wonderful pro of this drone. And then back onto the video, you can see again the quality is steady. It does have, as it's making these corners, it does slow down and turn a little bit. It's not 100% smooth, but if you were doing something like in a much more open area, I believe that would be a lot less choppy here. So I'm not saying that as a con. In fact, again, this is a pro. It is taking its time. It is being safe. It is not taking risky maneuvers. If I was in an open field with nothing else around it, there's a good chance that it would work just fine. Now you can see it got stuck here again. So I was trying a couple different things. You can actually learn here that it was active tracking based on me, not on the remote. So you can see I moved back into its frame so it could try and move a little bit closer, but it was detecting these trees. So I tried to hold the remote out to see if maybe it would follow the remote, but it is not locked onto the remote. It is locked directly onto me. So this is another one that required a little bit of manual guiding through here. I tried to see maybe if I could get it to guide through here, and you can see there's a little hole in the branch, and this is doable. I believe that if I was flying the drone myself, I could fly it through this opening, but the drone did not feel safe. And we can see it getting close, right? See, there's the opening, but it says the tree's too close there. There's a branch above me. All the alarms were going off on this one. So again, it knew it could make it, it thought, but also there was too much danger, so it kept trying to push in and out. You can see the kind of like the AI at work where it's thinking, okay, what if I position myself this way? What if I do that? And you can see where I'm manually controlling it now. And even here, when I'm trying to press it forward, because I know it can make it through there, the drone safety features are kicking in and saying, no, there's too much stuff too close. You're not seeing the whole picture. You cannot fly through here. I honestly thought I was actually going to get stuck for a second there because it wouldn't let me move backwards either because I was fully surrounded. But I did eventually kind of inch my way out of there. And you can see I was able to very clunkily navigate it back to where it was supposed to go on course here. And this is a very tight turn here, right? If you were an inexperienced drone pilot and you were trying to fly faster here, you could crash here very easily. I think, if you're piloting a Cinewhoop or something much smaller, obviously you can take that corner a little bit easier. But as small as the Mini Pro 3 is compared to other drones, it still has a little bit of a wingspan, right? One of the other things I really have to appreciate with this is you can see I had to take manual control. I flew it right over to myself, and within a few seconds I was able to relock it onto myself and continue the flight. So even when there are interruptions, it's very quick to get it right back on track, right back to flying with you, which is a huge pro. It is important to note that I am not sponsored by DJI. This is not a free drone that they gave me. This is not a review that they paid for. This is not a sponsored content. This is simply my review of the drone because I enjoyed it so much and I want to test this feature out and present it to you. I also want to talk quickly about the case that I'm holding there. Again, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I definitely recommend getting a carrying case like the one that I'm holding to use this drone. When I was just speaking about being able to redeploy the drone quickly on the active track being important, it's just as important to be able to deploy the drone quickly for regular content. I also have the DJI FPV, which is another wonderful drone, but it was much harder to bring everything with me. I ended up getting a carrying case for it as well because you had so many different wires and different things that needed to attach with it, and if you forgot one, you wouldn't be able to fly it. Not to mention you had to take the wings off every time you wanted to fly, so a carrying case is a must for all drones. I stand by that 100%. And again, having something to protect your investment is super important because just carrying around in a backpack, like my cats love to sleep on backpacks, they'll step on the drone, they're $1,000 investment. You don't want to get knocked off a counter to break. The carrying cases are an absolute must. Now there is something else that I want to talk about that you'll see here, that everything is obviously focused on my backside, so I want to see what would happen if I put it to my front side, like if I was walking towards the drone. I didn't want to try that out here, while obviously there's a lot of trees and other things, as well as if someone was coming around these corners, I didn't want to back them into my drone, because again, safety risks, safety is one of the most important things as a drone pilot. Please practice safety. But a little bit later in the video, you will see that I tried to flip it around, and it did not work as great from there. It seems like the active track does not differentiate between your face and like the back of your head. So if you put it on your face, no matter which way you turn, it is going to be tracking that object, but it can't say, oh, I see your face and not the back of your head, so let me, orbit around to be recording on the right part. This does mean, of course, that you'll need to plan for how you want to be seen, and I think if you were trying to do something like following a dirt bike, I think, which is one of the examples they show, it will be behind it for most of the thing. Having it in front of it would be much more difficult. Now, there is another mode that I didn't test here that I will show you. I will do another video on called Parallel. The Parallel, to my knowledge, has it follow you from the side rather than tracing behind your steps, which gives you a different view, kind of like that cinematic car racing sort of thing you would see in a movie. That is definitely something I'm interested in trying out, but to my knowledge, the hit detection does not activate during that one, which could make it, hit one of these trees, so I didn't want to risk it here. I'm not 100% certain on that, though, so don't quote me on that. That is something that I still need to experiment with and learn. Now, I know that I've been talking a lot here, so I'm going to stop talking for a second and just let you enjoy this for a second, because I really enjoy it. It's steady, good video, good picture quality. I got some good, just soft music going. I think this is great for content creation, and I think this is great for drones in general for being able to do this. So let me stop talking and just enjoy this for a second. So now that you've had a chance to enjoy that, let's talk a little bit about the uses for this. Now, the obvious one is for like moving vehicles, people on dirt bikes, things like that. Again, that's kind of the things they show in the ad, but I think there's some other uses for this feature that are going to be really game changers for a lot of creators out there. The first one that comes to mind is the one that affects me the most. I am first and foremost a photographer, so having something be able to follow me while I'm out doing photo shoots, I think would be amazing for just a content creation standpoint. Be able to watch me take the photos, be able to put it in front of me taking the photos. You could even do like one of those, I'm taking a photo of the drone taking a photo of me sort of thing. There's a lot of possibilities there. I think for people who do content creation such as areas, this would also be like a game changer for them to be able to have all this recording without having to record it themselves. It gives you a little bit more chance to kind of enjoy the moment. Now, obviously, again, the beeping I didn't talk about and you're having to hold the controller and keep track of it. However, being able to have another camera on you all the time like this is just simply amazing for content creation. It actually makes me think back to, there was this old TV show called Survivor Man, where he would go out into like the desert and survive for a while, and he would set up a camera, walk away from the camera, then walk back to the camera, pick up the camera, move it, and it was a lot of extra work because he had to position the cameras. Being able to have a drone do that for you, automatically follow you, those sort of things would be an invaluable tool for something like that. So I see this as a complete game changer for certain content. And if you're a person who does, again, like hiking content, traveling content, or anything like that, having the ability to always have a camera on you while also having your hands to be able to do, a live on social media, take photos, do other things like that, I think this is going to be an incredible tool for you. Now, the video is winding down. There's only a couple minutes left, so I want to talk about a few last things. One of the ones that will be coming up here soon is the last part of testing this. You saw a lot of vertical content, it moving up and down to avoid trees, but at the very end of this trail, there are some steps that lead you up to the end of the trail. And I was really curious to see how will this drone handle going up steps. And I'm proud to say, you can see them right here, it did a wonderful job. Again, as it's navigating there, you can see it's not like completely smooth, but here it does a pretty smooth job of following me up the steps. Again, it's not perfect. There's a little bit of jostling, but for the technology, I think it's really incredible stuff there. Coming up here is the last part of the test. We were talking about it not being able to track like the difference between your face, the back of your head, the front of your head. You'll see that once I conquer these steps, I will fly the drone up and around to my face, and I'll try walking towards it. And it does work to varying degrees of success, but it's just tracking me. So once I make an unexpected turn to the side, you'll see that it just starts following from behind again. So this is something I'd like to see on drones at some point in the future. I definitely think it's a really cool idea. You can see us kind of messing with the zoom. It does have a built-in zoom between 1x and 2x zoom. I was flying up and down. a lot of cool features on this drone. Like I said, I do want the feature someday to be able to say track my face, like actively see my face and track my face. But I understand if technology is not quite there yet. I mean, this is a fairly new feature on drones. I don't believe my FPV has this feature, so it was new for the Mini Pro 3. I think it was on a few of the other Mavics, but I mean, this is very new, very good technology. You can see it works fairly well. You can see it's going up and down, it's avoiding to the right, there's some trees, to the left there's some trees. You can see it's still doing those things where it's actively dodging, but as soon as I make a turn here to the right, it starts following from behind rather than in front. If you enjoyed this, I will be making more drone content soon, so don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate you watching this video, and have a nice day.